You want to know what sets apart those who make it from the rest? It's not about talent. It's not about luck. It's not even about being smart. The real difference boils down to one straightforward truth that most folks never grasp. People who succeed are the ones who do what those who don't succeed won't even think about doing, and they do it, regardless of how they feel. Let me share something that turned my life around when I finally got it. Your emotions are the absolute worst compass for your actions. Seriously, the absolute worst. And here's why that's more crucial than anything else I could share with you today. I learned this lesson the hard way, and it cost me years of my life. When I hit 25, I was in dire straits financially. I mean, really in a tough spot. I had barely any change in my pocket and nothing in my bank account. And you know what my issue was? I let my feelings control me. If I was in the mood to make calls, I'd make calls. If I felt like meeting a potential client, I'd go. If I wasn't feeling it, well, I'd just find something else to occupy my time. I would convince myself, I'll tackle it tomorrow when I'm in a better mood. I'll get to it when I'm feeling more inspired. I'll tackle it when the moment feels just right. But honestly, that moment never arrives because my emotions are all over the place. Here's something nobody mentions when you're just getting started. Your feelings shift like the seasons. One day you feel like you can take on the world, ready to achieve anything. The next morning you wake up and can't even muster the energy to get out of bed. If you let those ups and downs control what you do, you're going to end up with results that reflect that inconsistency. You might be riding high one month, then low the next, making progress one day and falling back to the next. And 5 years down the line, you'll find yourself in the same spot, scratching your head, wondering why nothing has changed. The reality is your feelings can deceive you. They really can. They whisper that it's okay to skip today because you're exhausted. They convince you that taking one day off won't make a difference. They suggest you can always start over on Monday or next month or even next year. And every time you give in to that voice, you're settling for mediocrity. You're swapping what you truly desire for what you want in the moment. And that's a deal that could ruin your future. Let me tell you a little story. When I first met my mentor, Zig Ziglar, I was just a stock clerk struggling to get by. One day he asked me, "Hey, how long have you been with this company?" I replied, "About 4 years." Then he inquired, "And how much are you earning?" I shared my answer. After that, he hit me with a question that flipped everything upside down. "So in 4 years, that's the best you can achieve?" I started making excuses, talking about the economy, my bad luck, and all the things that were out of my control. He listened without interrupting. Then he said something that stuck with me forever. "If you change, everything will change for you. But you need to put more effort into improving yourself than you do into your job." That chat really opened my eyes. But here's the catch. Knowing isn't enough. I realized I had to change. I understood I needed to step up my game, but I still lacked that crucial element. I was still hanging around, hoping to feel that urge to change. I was waiting for that spark of motivation to hit me out of nowhere. I thought maybe one day I'd wake up completely different. And Zig Ziglar saw right through that too. He said, "Hey, stop waiting for that feeling to kick in. That day might never show up. Here's what you should do instead. Make a plan and stick to it, no matter how you feel." That's the key. That's what sets the amateurs apart from the pros. And you know what? He was spot on. That one change in mindset took me from being broke at 25 to hitting millionaire status by the time I turned 31. Not because I was any smarter than before, not because I got lucky, but because I stopped letting my emotions dictate my life. Think about it for a second. When you wake up in the morning and don't feel like heading to work, do you still go? There's a boss counting on you. There's a paycheck at stake. However, when it comes to pursuing their aspirations, chasing their objectives, or striving for self-improvement, Suddenly, emotions play a big role. Out of nowhere, if they're not in the right mood, they just won't do it. And that's completely the wrong way to think. You'll show up for a job that might not even bring you joy, no matter how you're feeling. Yet, when it comes to your dreams, the life you claim to desire, you'll only put in the effort when you feel inspired. That just doesn't add up. Still, that's how the majority of folks operate. They pour their best energy, their strongest discipline, and their utmost consistency into someone else's vision, while their own dreams get whatever scraps are left. And what's typically left is nothing at all. Here's what I've figured out. Moods are like passing weather systems in your mind. They come and they go. If you wait for the ideal mood to take action, you'll be waiting indefinitely. But if you cultivate the habit of doing what needs to be done, no matter your feelings, you'll achieve more in a single year than most people do in a decade. Because while everyone else is sitting around waiting for the right vibe, you're already making moves. While the rest are caught up in their heads, wondering if today's the day to kick things off, you've already crossed the finish line. Let me share a little story about a chat I had with a young guy who showed up at one of my workshops. He said, "Zig Ziglar, I really want to succeed, but I just can't find the drive." So I asked him, "Do you brush your teeth every single day?" He looked a bit puzzled and said, "Sure." I followed up, "Do you wait until you feel like brushing your teeth?" He chuckled and said, "No way." So I asked, "Then why do you wait for that feeling to do the things that could lead you to success?" He didn't have a response. And you know what? There's really no solid answer to that. The things that truly count in life, the ones that will decide if you succeed or fall short, whether you flourish or just get by, those things can't be left to chance or feelings. They're way too significant. You don't just feel your way into success. You discipline your way there. You build habits. You create your own plans. You establish your own benchmarks and you stick to them, especially when you really don't feel like it. This is what I refer to as the slight edge. It's the distinction between those who succeed and those who don't. It's not flashy. It might not even be apparent at first. But someone who works out when they're not in the mood, who makes those calls when they'd rather avoid it, who hits the books when they're exhausted, who saves cash when they're tempted to splurge, that person is making investments in their future. And as time goes on, those investments accumulate, they expand, they multiply, and eventually, that person wakes up to find they're living a totally different life, compared to the one who kept waiting for motivation. Your emotions will urge you to take the easy path. Your emotions will suggest you hit the snooze button. Your emotions will convince you that skipping one day won't matter. Your emotions will deceive you every single time. But your strategy reveals the truth. Your strategy understands where you want to head. Your strategy knows exactly what it takes to reach your destination. And if you stick to your strategy instead of letting your feelings guide you, if you believe in your vision rather than your emotions, you will achieve it. I assure you that. Now let's chat about the distinction between daydreaming and genuine planning, because a lot of folks mix them up. They claim they have a strategy, but what they actually possess is a wish list. They say, "I want to earn more money." That's not a strategy. That's just a wish. They say, "I want to shed some pounds." That's not a strategy. That's a hope. They say, "I want to be successful." That's not a strategy. That's a daydream. A true strategy is something completely different. And until you grasp what a real strategy looks like, you'll keep setting goals that vanish the instant your mood shifts. When Zig Ziglar taught me how to plan, he revealed something that changed my life entirely. He said, "Success isn't a mystery, it's a formula. And if you follow that formula, you'll see the results. It's as reliable as math." So he had me sit down and we laid out precisely what I had to do. Not at some point in the future, not when I felt prepared, not when everything seemed just right. We figured out what I needed to kick off that very day. He insisted I jot it all down, every single bit of it. He told me, "Zig Ziglar, here's a little secret that could save you years of just wandering around wishing for things to improve. Goals that aren't written down are not really goals. They're merely wishes. And let's be honest, wishes don't come true for grown-ups. Want to change your life? Start by transforming your wishes into actionable plans. And you do that with a pen and some paper." So I wrote down exactly how much cash I wanted to earn. I noted precisely what I had to do each day to make that a reality. I listed how many folks I needed to connect with, how many presentations I had to deliver, how many books I should read. Everything turned specific. Everything became measurable. Everything felt tangible. And here's what unfolded when I did that. All of a sudden, my moods didn't hold as much weight. Why? Since I wasn't waking up each morning and asking myself, what do I feel like tackling today? I was checking my agenda and saying, this is what I promised to accomplish today. There's a huge difference between those two mindsets. One leaves you vulnerable to your feelings. The other gives you the reins to your life. Let me explain this to you because it's super important. Your agenda should include clear daily tasks, not weekly objectives, not monthly milestones, but daily tasks. You don't experience life in weeks or months. You go through it one day at a time. And if you can't picture what success looks like today, you'll never grasp what it means in the long run. So you need to ask yourself, what are the few things that if I did them every single day would ensure my success? And once you identify those, they become non-negotiable. They turn into your daily habits. I picked up something else from Zig Ziglar that most folks never realize. He mentioned, Zig Ziglar, that achieving success boils down to a handful of straightforward habits, practiced each day. On the flip side, failure results from a few misjudgments repeated daily. Give that some thought. The gap between success and failure isn't this massive chasm you have to jump over. It's all about those little actions taken consistently over time. It's about reading 10 pages of a good book each day instead of binging on TV. It's making 5 extra phone calls rather than coming up with excuses. It's putting aside $5 instead of splurging on things you don't really need. These actions are simple enough to do, but they're also just as easy to skip. And that's where the trap lies. You know what most folks tend to do? They chase after that big break. They hope for that lucky moment. They search for that one thing that will turn everything around in an instant. Meanwhile, as they're waiting for that miracle, they're overlooking the basic daily habits that could genuinely change their lives. They crave the outcome without wanting to go through the necessary steps. They desire the harvest without the effort of planting. And that's just not how life operates. You've got to put in the effort, and you need to do it every single day. Here's something else I picked up about planning. Keep it straightforward. Don't make it too complicated. I've seen folks come up with these intricate, convoluted systems with 50 different goals and 100 action steps. And you know what happens? They get bogged down and give up. Your plan should be simple enough that you can recall it without needing to check it. It ought to be clear enough that you could explain it to a kid, and it should be focused enough that you can carry it out even on your toughest days. When Zig Ziglar was building his business, his daily plan was pretty basic. Connect with new people, follow up with potential clients, hone his skills, take care of his well-being. That was all. Just 4 things. But he stuck to those 4 tasks no matter how he felt. Whether it was sunny or pouring rain, whether he was pumped or feeling down, whether yesterday was a great day or a rough one. The plan didn't shift based on what was going on around him. The strategy didn't care about how I was feeling. The strategy was just that, a strategy, and I stuck to it. Let me share what unfolded. At first, it was tough. There were days when I really didn't feel like making those calls. Some days I just didn't want to chat with anyone. There were times I wished I could just stay home and wallow in my own thoughts. But I had made a promise to myself. I had jotted it down. I looked at it every single morning, and there was something about seeing it in black and white that made it tougher to back out. It's easy to break a promise you keep in your mind. It's a lot harder to break one that's written down. Another thing about having a written strategy is this. It takes the decision-making out of your everyday life. You know what really drains people? Constantly making choices. Should I do this or that? Should I focus on this project or that one? Should I make calls today or put them off until tomorrow? Every choice requires energy, but when you have a strategy, you don't have to think about it. You've already made that choice. You made the choice when you set up the plan. Now it's all about putting it into action. That's the reason why successful folks stick to their routines. They repeat the same actions at the same time each day. It's not because they're dull or lack imagination, but because they realize that willpower has its limits. Discipline isn't endless either. If you spend your discipline figuring out what to do, you won't have any left to actually get it done. So they simplify the decision-making process. They decide once and then stick to it for good. Think about the most accomplished people you know. They have their routines. They follow systems. They adhere to processes. And they don't stray from those processes just because they're having a rough day. They get that the system is wiser than their mood. The plan is more dependable than their feelings. The commitment outweighs the emotions. Now, I'm not saying you can't tweak your plan from time to time. Life shifts. Situations evolve. You pick up new insights. Absolutely, you can adjust your strategy, but when you do, make sure it's intentional and thought out. You don't switch it up every time you hit a rough patch. You don't throw in the towel just because things get tough. You need to stay committed long enough to find out if it actually works. And here's the reality. Most strategies succeed if you give them enough time. The issue isn't typically the strategy itself. The issue is that people often give up before their strategy has the opportunity to pay off. I've seen countless individuals set their sights on goals over the years. I've watched folks launch businesses, kick off diet plans, start workout regimens, and enroll in courses. And you know what I've observed? The ones who achieve their goals aren't necessarily the ones with the most brilliant strategies. They're the ones who remain dedicated to their plans. They're the ones who keep putting in the effort. They're the ones who do the work even when they're not feeling it, who make those calls when they'd rather not, who rise early when they'd prefer to sleep in. Your strategy is your roadmap to success. But a roadmap doesn't construct a building. You've got to show up with your gear every single day and get the job done. You need to lay down one brick at a time. Trust the process, my friend. And the most crucial part, keep grinding away even if you can't see the progress yet, because it's on its way. If you stick to a solid plan, those results are already heading your way. You just can't see them yet. Let me share something about moods that you really need to grasp if you want to ace this journey called life. Your moods are going to bounce around. That's totally normal. It's part of being human. Some days you'll wake up feeling like you can conquer anything. Other days you might feel like you just want to hide under the blankets. And here's the deal. Both of those feelings are just temporary. They will pass. And neither one should dictate how you spend your day. You see, a lot of folks believe that motivation comes first and then action follows. They believe that they have to feel inspired before they can get to work. But let me share something that could transform your life. If you truly grasp this, it's the wrong way around. You need to take action first, and then the motivation will come. You don't just sit around waiting for the urge to do something. You dive in, and the feelings will follow. This is one of the biggest lessons I ever picked up. and it took me quite a while to understand it. Back in the day, I would sit around hoping for that spark of inspiration. I'd hold off until I felt prepared. I'd wait until I felt self-assured. I'd wait until I felt driven. And guess what? I squandered years of my life waiting because those feelings didn't just appear on their own. They came after I began to move, after I started putting in the effort, after I took action regardless of how I was feeling. Here's what goes down when you approach things this way. You wake up in the morning and don't feel like hitting the gym, but you lace up your shoes anyway. You begin to walk, and just 5 minutes in, something changes. Your body starts to wake up, your mind clears up, and all of a sudden, you start feeling great. You feel inspired. But that inspiration didn't show up before you took action. It emerged because you took that first step. You brought it to life by getting moving. The same goes for work. You might not feel like making those calls. You might not feel like writing. You might not feel like hitting the books. But you sit down and dive in anyway. And after about 10 minutes, you hit your groove. You find your concentration. The resistance fades away, and before you realize it, you've been at it for an hour and you're making headway. But if you had waited until you felt like it, you'd still be lounging on the couch, coming up with excuses. This is what distinguishes the grown-ups from the kids in this world. Kids do what feels nice. Grown-ups do what has to be done. Kids wait for the perfect mood. Grown-ups create that perfect mood through their actions. Kids bargain with themselves all day long. Grown-ups make a choice and stick to it. And that distinction, that straightforward difference in mindset, leads to entirely different lives. Let me tell you a little story from my life. There was a time when I was trying to grow my business and things got pretty tough. It felt like nothing was going my way. I was feeling down and exhausted. Each morning I would wake up with this heavy weight on my chest. There was this nagging voice in my head saying, "What's the point? Nothing's working anyway. Just take a break. You've earned it." And honestly, that voice was pretty persuasive. But by that time, I had figured out that I couldn't trust it. That voice isn't on your side. It's just trying to keep you in your comfort zone. But here's the thing, comfort is the enemy of progress. So here's what I started doing. Every morning, even when I was feeling awful, I would have a little chat with myself. I'd say, "Zig Ziglar, I know you're not feeling it today, but here's the plan. You're going to push through anyway. You made a promise to yourself. You've got a strategy, and your feelings don't get a say in this." Then I would get up and get to work. And you know what I discovered? The mornings when I felt the worst were usually the ones when I achieved the most. Why is that? Because I had to dig a little deeper. I had to rely on discipline rather than just motivation. I needed to show myself that I was tougher than my feelings. And every single time I managed to do that, every time I honored my commitment regardless of how I was feeling, I created something far more valuable than mere success. I developed self-respect. That's something people often overlook. When you follow through on what you promised yourself, even when you're not in the mood, you're not just growing your business, your physique, or your finances. You're shaping your character. You're building trust within yourself. You're demonstrating that you can count on yourself. And that self-trust, that self-respect, becomes the bedrock for everything else you achieve. Here's another thing about moods. They can spread from you to you. What I mean is this: if you give in to a negative mood once, it gets easier to do it the next time around. If you decide to skip your workout today, just because you're not feeling it, chances are you'll do the same tomorrow. When you dodge those phone calls today because you're not up for it, you're basically training yourself to shy away from them whenever you hit a bump in the road. You're showing yourself that your emotions are in control. And once you get that idea locked in, it can lead you down a tough path. But here's the flip side. Every time you push through that discomfort, every time you tackle what needs to be done, regardless of your mood, you're actually training yourself in the opposite direction. You're proving to yourself that you're capable. You're proving to yourself that you've got discipline. You're proving to yourself that you're the one in charge. And the more you practice this, the stronger you get. The resistance won't just vanish, but you'll definitely get better at pushing past it. Let me explain what I mean by the muscle of self-discipline. It's just like working out a physical muscle. If you've never hit the gym, lifting 22 kilograms might seem totally out of reach. Sure, here's a reformulated version of the text. However, if you kick things off with 5 pounds and steadily increase your weight, before long, lifting 50 pounds will feel like a breeze. The same principle applies to discipline. If you've spent your entire life going with the flow of your emotions, sticking to a plan might seem daunting at first. But if you begin with small steps and cultivate a routine, it will eventually feel like second nature. The trick is to start from where you are. Don't aim to overhaul your entire life in one night. Avoid making 20 promises that you can't keep. Focus on just one. Make a single commitment to yourself and stick to it no matter what. It could be reading 10 pages each day. It might be making 5 phone calls. Or perhaps it's working out for 20 minutes. Choose one task and commit to doing it every day for 30 days, no matter how you're feeling, and see what unfolds. You'll strengthen that muscle, you'll establish the habit, and most importantly, you'll foster the belief that you can achieve this. I've seen this kind of change take place in thousands of individuals over the years. They begin as individuals at the mercy of their emotions, tossed around by every sentiment that arises. Then they grasp this concept. They figure out how to distance themselves from their feelings. They learn to watch their emotions without acting on them. They say to themselves, I feel exhausted, but I'm still going to put in the effort. I feel down, but I'm going to push through anyway. I feel like giving up, but I'm going to keep at it regardless. And once they acquire that ability, everything shifts. This is what I refer to as mastering your inner climate. You can't dictate when a storm hits. You can't control whether you wake up feeling fantastic or awful. But you can decide how to respond. You can choose whether to let the weather influence your actions. Those who excel at this skill, those who learn to keep working no matter their internal state, are the ones who achieve remarkable things. Just think about the top professionals in any industry, the top athletes, the leading business folks, the most talented artists. You know what they all share? They've all figured out how to perform no matter how they're feeling. A pro basketball player sinks those free throws, whether it's a great day or a tough one. A seasoned writer puts pen to paper whether the muse is there or not. A skilled salesperson makes those calls regardless of whether they're feeling bold or anxious. That's what sets them apart as professionals. Amateurs only put in the work when they're in the mood. Professionals show up and do the job, whether they're feeling it or not. Now, I want to throw a question your way that I really want you to ponder. Where do you see yourself 5 years down the line if you keep riding the wave of your emotions? If you only tackle what you feel like doing, and only when you feel like doing it, where does that path take you? I'll tell you where. It circles right back to where you are today. Maybe a bit older, perhaps a tad more frustrated, but fundamentally in the same spot. Since decisions driven by emotions don't lead to success, they end up turning into regret. But here's the other side of the coin. Where do you see yourself 5 years down the line if you stick to your plan? If you tackle what needs to be done every single day, no matter how you're feeling, if you make those calls, dive into those books, save that cash, nurture those connections, and sharpen your skills, I can tell you where you'll end up. You'll find yourself in a place you can't even picture right now, because consistent choices lead to amazing outcomes. I've experienced both sides of this situation. I understand what it's like to go with my feelings, and I also know what it's like to stick to my plan. And I can say without a doubt, following the plan is tougher in the moment, but pays off in the long haul. Going with your moods is easier at first, but it can be really damaging over time. You get to pick your challenge. You can choose the challenge of discipline or the challenge of regret. But avoiding a challenge isn't an option. That's just not how it works. Let me share what I've observed over the years I've dedicated to exploring success and sharing these ideas. The folks who stick to their game plans, who honor their promises, and who put in the effort, no matter how they feel, these are the people who build lives that many only fantasize about. It's not because they're brighter or luckier, but because they grasp a key truth. Success naturally follows from taking consistent action over time. Conversely, those who ride the waves of their emotions, who wait for that spark of inspiration, and who only put in the effort when they feel like it, often find themselves 5, 10, or even 20 years later, scratching their heads and wondering what went wrong. They had aspirations too. They had ambitions too. They had potential too. But they made the critical error of allowing their feelings to dictate their actions. And feelings, as we've pointed out, are not reliable navigators. Here's something else you ought to know. Life is going to challenge you. It's going to throw you some unexpected twists. Unexpected events are bound to come up that you didn't see coming. You're going to face tough days. You might even go through rough weeks, or who knows, maybe even a challenging month. During those times, your emotions will urge you to throw in the towel, to give up, to ditch your plans. This is the moment when you truly discover who you are. When everything is going smoothly, sticking to a plan feels like a breeze. When you're in a good mood, feeling pumped, anyone can put in the effort under those circumstances. But when the going gets tough, when you're worn out, feeling down, and nothing seems to be falling into place, that's when sticking to your plan becomes crucial. That's when it really counts. That's when you set yourself apart from the rest. I won't sugarcoat it and say it's a walk in the park. It's not. There will be days when every part of you screams to give up. There will be mornings when the alarm goes off and you just want to smash it against the wall. There will be times when you start to doubt everything. And during those times, it's crucial to keep in mind why you began this journey. You have to remind yourself of what you're creating. You need to realize that this momentary discomfort is the cost of your future liberation. But let me share with you the other side of this commitment. Sure, it can be tough at times. Yes, it demands some sacrifices, but you know what else it brings? It fosters an unshakable sense of self-worth. It builds a confidence that can't be pretended. It instills a pride in yourself that nothing else can provide. When you gaze into the mirror and recognize that you've honored your commitments to yourself. When you understand that you've followed through on what you promised, no matter how you felt, that's a sensation that money simply can't purchase. And here's the wonderful part. The more you engage in this, the simpler it becomes. Not because the tasks get any easier, but because you grow stronger. Remember what I mentioned about developing the muscle of self-discipline? Well, 5 years of sticking to your plan transforms you into a completely different individual than you are right now. You turn into someone who doesn't have to bargain with yourself every single morning. You become the kind of person who simply takes care of what needs to be done. It becomes a part of your identity. Now, before I wrap this up, I want to touch on something. Some folks hear this message and think I'm suggesting you should never be adaptable. They assume I'm saying you shouldn't change your plans, take a break, or listen to your body. That's not my point at all. There's a clear distinction between being adaptable and being weak. There's a difference between modifying your plans based on fresh insights and ditching them just because you're not in the mood to work today. Here's a little test for you. Are you altering your plans for a solid reason, or are you doing it to dodge discomfort? Are you being strategic, or are you just making excuses? Are you tweaking your approach while staying committed, or are you simply giving up? You know the answers to these questions. You might be able to trick others, but you can't trick yourself. Let me leave you with that thought. You're at a turning point right now. One path feels comfortable. It's the path of going with your emotions, waiting for that spark of motivation, and only putting in the effort when you're in the mood. You know where that path leads because you've traveled it before. The other path is something else entirely. It's the path of discipline, commitment, and sticking to your plan no matter how you're feeling. And this path, this one takes you to a whole new place. The decision is up to you. But I want you to grasp something important. This isn't solely about cash or success or accomplishments. It's about who you evolve into. It's about looking back on your life without any regrets. It's about knowing you gave it your all. Create a plan, jot it down, keep it straightforward, keep it clear, and then stick to that plan for the next 90 days. No matter your mood, don't bargain, don't make excuses, don't wait for the perfect vibe, just go for it. And in 90 days, you'll find yourself transformed. You'll see different outcomes, you'll feel a new level of confidence. You'll have shown yourself that you can achieve more than you believed. Your life is right there, just waiting for you. But it's not going to be found on the easy path. It's not going to hang out in your cozy spot. It's waiting beyond discipline, beyond commitment, and beyond doing what has to be done, regardless of how you feel. So quit chasing your feelings, start sticking to your plan, and see what unfolds for you.